I never imagined I'd be the quiet husband standing in the corner of a party, pretending to check his phone because his wife couldn't be bothered to look his way. But that's exactly who I was that night, parked near the snack table, holding a glass of soda that had gone flat 20 minutes earlier, while Emily drifted through the room like I wasn't there at all. It was her friend's birthday, a polished garden setup with music loud enough to swallow small talk. I'd dressed up for her, pressed shirt, clean shave, even that cologne she once said made me smell like home. But the moment we arrived, she released my hand and never looked back. She moved from group to group, laughing a little too loudly, leaning a little too close to a guy she'd known since college. Every so often, her eyes flicked toward me, just long enough to make sure I hadn't embarrassed her by lingering. Then they slid away again. At first, I told myself she was just catching up with old friends. I tried joining a conversation near the bar, but it felt forced. Everyone shared inside jokes and old stories. I was the extra piece that didn't belong. So I found a quiet spot and stayed there, smiling whenever someone passed, acting like I was fine. About half an hour later, her cousin Anna arrived. Mid-20s, single, confident, the kind of woman who always seemed to carry an invisible spotlight. She spotted me immediately and walked over with a teasing grin. "Where's your wife hiding you, Mark? You look like a kid waiting for recess." I laughed weakly. "Guess I'm just giving her space to mingle." "Or maybe she's forgetting who brought her," Anna said, lifting an eyebrow. Before I could answer, Emily joined us. Her voice was bright, with a sharp edge. "Oh, there you are, Mark. Having fun?" "Sure," I said, even though she hadn't asked like she cared about the reply. Anna smiled, that mischievous grin that invites trouble just to see what happens. "You know, Em, if you keep ignoring him like this, I might have to steal him for myself." I expected laughter, maybe a playful comeback. Instead, Emily froze. The color in her cheeks shifted. Not embarrassment, not humor, something else, possession. Her arm slid around my waist faster than it ever had at home. "Oh, you wouldn't survive him," she said lightly, though her grip tightened. "He's too much work." Anna laughed, clearly enjoying it. "Too much work? He looks like the type who'd do the dishes and still apologize for leaving a cup in the sink." I smiled awkwardly, wishing the floor would open beneath me. Emily leaned into me, her perfume stronger than the night air. "He's mine," she murmured, just loud enough for me to hear. "Don't get ideas." Anna's eyes widened slightly, then she chuckled and wandered off, clearly satisfied with the spark she'd lit. Emily kept her arm around me a few seconds longer, then dropped it, as if remembering she was annoyed. "You shouldn't just stand there like that," she whispered sharply. "People might think something's wrong." "Something is wrong," I said quietly. "You've barely looked at me all night." She sighed, scanning the crowd. "Mark, not now. It's a party. Don't start." I nodded, sipping from my empty glass. "Right. Wouldn't want to ruin your evening." For the rest of the night, she hovered near me, but not with me. Close enough to look connected, far enough to remind me she was doing me a favor. I noticed her glance toward Anna a few times, maybe checking if she was still around. Each time, she'd touch my arm or straighten my collar, small gestures meant for display. By the time we left, the lights had dimmed and my chest felt heavier than it should have. She was cheerful in the car, chatting about how nice it was to see everyone. I nodded at the right moments, but all I could think about was that brief flash of jealousy, the only genuine emotion she'd shown me all night. At home, she disappeared into the bedroom to remove her makeup. I sat on the couch, staring at the faint reflection of the evening in the window. For months, she'd been distant. Short texts, distracted dinners, endless excuses. But that moment at the party told me more than any conversation ever had. She hadn't stopped caring entirely. She just didn't know how to show it until someone else reminded her that I was worth wanting. I should have felt comforted by that. Instead, it left me exhausted. Love fueled by jealousy wasn't love. It was fear of losing control. And I wasn't sure how much longer I wanted to be proof of someone's possession instead of their choice. The next morning, Emily acted as if nothing had happened. She hummed while making coffee, scrolling her phone, occasionally glancing at me like a stranger sharing her kitchen. I watched her, wondering if she even remembered the party or the way she'd suddenly claimed me in front of everyone. "Sleep well?" she asked at last. "Yeah," I said, though I hadn't. "You?" She shrugged. "Fine. Why?" "Just wondering if you remember what happened last night." She frowned, setting her mug down. "At the party? Yeah, it was fun. Why?" "Because for someone who couldn't find me all night, you got very possessive when your cousin joked." Her expression flickered. Guilt, defensiveness, pride, all at once. "It wasn't possessive, it was a joke. You looked uncomfortable and she was being inappropriate." I leaned back. "She said one sentence. You didn't notice me until then." She crossed her arms. "So now I'm the villain because I didn't babysit you?" "No," I said calmly. "You're not the villain. You just forgot I was your husband for a few hours." Her eyes narrowed. "You're being dramatic, Mark." I almost laughed, not from humor, but disbelief. "You know what's dramatic? Wrapping your arm around me like a trophy and pretending you don't care the next morning." That landed. She fell silent. The space between us filled with words we'd both avoided. Finally, she traced the rim of her mug. "I didn't mean to make you feel invisible," she said softly. I get caught up. I miss who I used to be." I nodded. "And where does that leave me?" She looked up. "You're still here." "For now," I said. That made her flinch. It wasn't a threat. It was truth. Her phone buzzed. A message from Anna. She hesitated, then picked it up. I didn't mean to look, but the preview glowed bright. "Hope I didn't cause trouble. You looked ready to fight me for him, LOL." Emily flushed and locked the phone. "Anna's ridiculous," she murmured. "No," I said. "She's honest. You're the one pretending nothing's wrong." Something shifted. The defensiveness faded. For the first time in months, she looked directly at me. "You really think I've stopped caring about you?" "I don't think," I said. "I know." She took a shaky breath, the kind she used before saying hard things. "You're right. I got lazy. I assumed you'd always be there." Her voice cracked. "Then Anna said that, and I saw her hand near you, and I realized how far I'd pushed you away." I sat quietly. I'd wanted honesty so long I'd forgotten how it felt to receive it. "I don't want to be your reminder of guilt," I said softly. "I want to be your choice." Tears filled her eyes. She nodded. "I want that too. I just don't know how to get back there." I stood up, walked to the window, and looked outside. "Start by not ignoring me when the world's watching." Behind me, she said something I hadn't expected. "Then let's start with dinner tonight. Just us. No friends, no parties." I turned around. She looked sincere, frightened even, like she had finally realized how close she'd come to losing something real. That evening, she followed through. No makeup, no distractions, just the two of us talking like we hadn't in years. She laughed at my jokes again, genuinely this time. Halfway through dinner, she reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm sorry, Mark," she said, "for making you feel like an accessory in my life." I squeezed her hand gently. "I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for presence." She smiled faintly. "Then maybe we still have a chance." I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. The same woman who once couldn't stop touching me, then forgot how to, and now was trying to remember. Maybe she meant it. Maybe this was another brief spark before the dark. But for that night, it was enough. Later, as we cleaned up, my phone buzzed with a message from Anna. Hope things are okay between you two. She looked like she finally remembered who she married. I stared at the text for a long moment before replying. Yeah, she did. Thanks for reminding her. When I looked up, Emily was standing in the doorway watching me. Who was that? She asked. Anna, I said honestly. She was just checking in. Emily smiled softly. I should thank her too. I nodded, a small grin forming despite everything. Yeah, you probably should. Because in a strange way, Anna's careless joke had done what months of silence couldn't. It woke Emily up. And while I didn't know where we were headed, for the first time in a long while, she was walking beside me. Not ahead of me, not behind me, just beside me. And for now, that was priceless.